Brian, you've sold more than 3,500 homes. You've been ranked among the best agents in the world. You've coached some of the biggest names in this industry. Yet your message today is very simple. Most agents are doing this backwards. They're chasing people who don't want to be chased. So let me ask you, after more than 30 years in this business, what have we fundamentally misunderstood about prospecting?
That it's time consuming, that it's hard work, and that there is a better way. I think tradition can be dangerous, Mike. And, I want to first thank you for having me on your show. It's a privilege to be here, and my goal is to add value. But the only way that I was able to figure it out is I did it the wrong way for 5 years, to such a point in my life where I was dead broke, behind in payments. I owed my landlord a few months' rent. The IRS leveraged and seized my bank account. Ooh. And I was selling 40 houses a year. So it wasn't like I wasn't selling any real estate.
Okay.
But I was spending so much money to generate the leads, and I didn't understand cost per sale. I didn't understand the metrics, the math. And I got to the point where I said, I'm not doing this anymore. And I found an agent who was getting the results that I wanted to have. And I spent $5,000 to fly to Michigan. And in 3 days, I went on 17 listing appointments.
Oh, my goodness.
Like, there's agents that don't go on 17 listing appointments in a year.
In a year, yeah.
In 3 days. So he said to me very politely, just do what I do. And he taught me direct response marketing. He taught me how to get buyers and sellers to reach out and respond to me like a business person. Restaurants don't chase prospects. Plumbers don't chase prospects. The airline industry doesn't chase prospects. Why do we chase? We don't need to chase. There's a better way, and it's attract, not chase. And you need to have a value proposition, and it's not hard to do. Marketing is a skill. Tying your shoes is a skill. Riding a bike is a skill. You can learn a skill.
Learn this. Yeah.
So I learned that skill, and in 1 year, I went from 40 transactions, spending a fortune being dead broke, to 108 in 1 year. I stopped talking to people, and I started talking to buyers and sellers. And when you are talking to buyers and sellers, you can work less because you're not talking to people who aren't buying. You're talking to buyers and sellers. So instead of talking to 100, 200, 300 people, cold calling, door knocking, farming, hoping, hope is not a strategy. Right. Instead of doing that, what if you just got 5 sellers to call you this week? So that's the secret. That's the magic sauce.
Come on. Welcome back to the Leverage Lounge. I'm Mike Collier. Today, I'm sitting down with Brian Moses. Brian went from struggling to survive in real estate to selling more than 3,500 homes, becoming one of the highest ranked agents in the world, and eventually working alongside Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. He coaches, speaks, builds businesses, helps agents understand a philosophy that I want to unpack today, which is attract, don't chase. So Brian, welcome to the Leverage Lounge.
Now, so great to be here. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Listen, we know the success story, but I want to start before the success, before everybody knew your name. Your first year in real estate was not exactly an overnight success story. So talk to us about what that first year actually looked like.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of big hopes and big dreams, and I was going to make millions of dollars. That's what I thought in my head it would be like. People told me I had a good personality. I was outgoing. I was ambitious. I made $18,000 my first year in the business. And I worked harder.
What year was this? Harder. Because $18,000 went a lot farther than it would today.
I turned down a job offer of 6 figures a year when I graduated college to make $18,000. My broker said, you got to hang in there. It takes time to build a business. So I believed them. And I did everything they told me to do. I was up to 300 cold calls a day, Michael.
So it wasn't that you weren't working hard.
No, I was working really hard. I was trying everything. I didn't want to let my parents down, who spent their life savings to put me through school and were scratching their head going, man, he's got a secured job offer of $100,000 a year and he's starving.
Wow. I think that distinction matters because you weren't lazy, you were working. But why do you feel like you weren't winning?
At the time, I thought it takes time. That's what I thought. What I've come to learn is that it doesn't take time. You can drill for oil, and if I come and tap you on the shoulder and go, hey, Michael, there's no oil there. How do you know, Brian? Because I've drilled there, and there's no oil. We've gone 1,000 feet, no oil. But if you come over here and drill here, you're going to hit a gusher. And that's what I was able to figure out in 5 years of drilling for oil, prospecting, cold calling, door knocking, farming, personal promotion, branding, all the traditional stuff. I'm not going to say there's no oil because it got me up to 40 transactions a year.
Yeah.
But it's not a gusher. The gusher comes when you get buyers and sellers to call you every day, every week. I didn't have to worry about where my next paycheck was coming from.
That changes everything, man. And you've spoken publicly about reaching a very difficult place financially and personally during that whole season. What was going on in Brian's head when things were at their worst?
Yeah, thoughts of depression, suicide. I remember sitting at my apartment thinking, about 4 years in the business, this is not what I was born to do. I didn't know a solution, and I actually thought about taking my life. Wow. And I turned on the TV. The only reason I didn't do it is I was a wussy and didn't want to bleed all over the kitchen. And so I'm thinking, how can I do this painlessly? And I've never committed suicide before. I didn't know much about it, but if I could do it painlessly, I was going to do it. And I turned the TV on, and there was an infomercial on QVC. I heard this voice from the kitchen. You can have, do, and experience anything you want in life. Your past doesn't equal your future. And I'm like, whoa, really? And I went into the living room to watch the TV, and it was Tony Robbins. And he said, for 3 easy payments of $149 and you buy personal power, get the edge, I'll change your life. And I'm like, all right, I'm already broke. You can't be, what's another few $100? So I put it on a credit card. The tapes came, and man, I wore those cassettes out. Yeah. I fed my mind with psychology, which is really step one. We all have beliefs, and those beliefs either serve us or don't serve us. There's people that are going to be listening to this interview, and they're going to go, you know what? I do pretty well with farming and door knocking and prospecting. Okay, if that's your belief, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
Yeah.
But if you're in a place where maybe you think you have put in a lot of effort, a lot of expense, a lot of money, you've worked really hard and you're doing okay, but you're saying to yourself, I think I deserve more. If you're losing deals, when you're the better agent, there's a lot of people listening to this, they know they're the better agent, and we've all lost deals to somebody who's part-time, a friend of a friend. And we're like, why is that happening? Step number one is managing your psychology, changing your belief systems. Step two, setting outrageous goals. Step three, building a plan. So I started to do that, and then I followed that agent that I shadowed in Michigan and never looked back.
It sounds like what you're saying is that your thinking changed before your circumstances changed.
100%. Yes, sir.
I heard you tell a story that your father essentially challenged you. He asked you something like, why are you taking advice from people who have never accomplished what you want to accomplish? Go find the people that are selling a lot of homes and then learn what they know. Was that the turning point?
That was the first turning point. Well, that was actually the second turning point. The first turning point, you'll love this story. So I was dating a woman, wonderful human being, blessed to have her in my life. I'm dead broke. The IRS leveraged my bank accounts. I have no money, and her birthday's coming up. And I said to her, Janet, what can I do for your birthday? And she goes, look, you're building your business. You don't have a lot of money. I get it. It's fine. We don't need to do anything. But I have an idea. can you come to Cape Cod with me? Can you take a weekend off and just not work, come to the Cape, shut it down, and be with me and my family? They'll take us to the yacht club. We'll have dinner. It won't cost you any money. And I'm like,
Just be present.
I go, that sounds like a birthday present for me, but cool, I'm in. So I put it in my calendar, and then, people listening can probably predict what happens. I get the call from an incredible buyer. No home to sell, 800 credit score, relocating to Nashua, head surgeon at the hospital. His wife's also a surgeon. My average sales price at the time was about $150,000. They're buying a $600,000 to $800,000 home. Guess what weekend they're coming?
Same weekend.
Same weekend. I put my tail between my legs. I go to my girlfriend and I go, can we reschedule? She's like, we can't reschedule. My parents booked this. But it's okay. I understand. That's the nature of this business. Isn't that a belief? That's the nature of this business. Right. So I appreciated her. She went off to the Cape. I gave these buyers my lender to get them pre-approved. I sent them a bunch of listings. I took their criteria, got them excited about some properties. I even went one step further. I was going to give them white glove service. I couldn't afford to lose this deal. I said, I'll make your hotel reservations. I'll pick you up at the airport. And they're like, wow, you're awesome. I make their hotel reservations. I go to pick them up at the airport, and they're not there. They're not there.
They stood you up?
They weren't there. Ghosted. No phone, no text, no email, nothing. I call my lender who pre-approved them, and I go, hey, have you heard from the Johnsons? I remembered their name over 30 years ago, the Johnsons. He goes, yeah, Brian, you're solid. They're good to go. They're in underwriting. They're cleared to close. What? He goes, wait a minute. Let me look. Brian, they didn't buy from you. Oh. I go, what property? Did they buy, Tom, did they buy 6 Mosswood Circle? He goes, how'd you know? I sent them the listing. We talked about it. It was the perfect house. They loved it. I go, when did they buy it? He goes, yesterday. They flew in a day earlier, took a rental car, never called me, drove by the property. Instead of calling me, they called the person on the sign. Wow. And my wife's on Cape Cod. Michael, viewers, that was the worst day of my real estate career, but it turned out to be the turning point and the best day of my real estate career. She was my girlfriend at the time.
I was going to say,
30 years later, she's my wife.
Wow.
And God bless her for sticking with me through those hard times.
Especially after that weekend.
So I spent that weekend in my office on a whiteboard, and I wrote down all the things I hated about this business. People ghost you. They don't respect you. They're demanding. They want to see a house now. If you don't show it to them, they're going to get somebody else.
Yep.
I wrote all those things down, and then I wrote, what do I want my business to look like? I want people to be loyal. I want people to see value in me. I want people to recognize me as an expert, to work on my schedule, not their schedule. I wrote it all down. So you have to have a goal, and then you create a map to make that goal happen. And then I just kept iterating, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. We set up consults where if somebody wanted to see a house, we're happy to show them the house, but we had a good value proposition to get them to come to my office first so that we could evaluate other properties that might also be a match. We've scripted that out. We dotted the I's, crossed the T's, handled any objections that came up, and never looked back. Went from 40 deals to 108, then 200, then 300, then 400 transactions a year. Got to be number 2 in the world for Coldwell Banker Real Estate Corporation from Nashua, New Hampshire. Not Miami, not Los Angeles.
No, I can't say that I've ever heard of Nashua. So
it was incredible. We were selling hundreds of homes before it was even popular.
Yeah. You eventually had access to an extraordinary group of mentors throughout your career. Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, Stephen Covey, Brian Tracy. I think I saw Michael Gerber on that list. Like, what did you learn about choosing mentors? Because today, I would say people have thousands of coaches available to them on Instagram, YouTube, all of the places. But how should someone determine, like, who actually deserves influence over the way I think?
First of all, you become a product of your environment. And when you raise your standards, you raise the quality of life. If you hang around people who do drugs, are criminals, are deceptive, it's going to rub off in a negative way. Conversely, if you hang around people that are smart, intelligent, ambitious, hardworking, skilled, it'll rub off in a good way. So I recognize that fundamentally, and I always put myself in an environment where I wasn't the smartest, the sharpest, and I was just a sponge. And I wanted to get the results that these mentors and role models were getting in their life. And there's patterns, right? Success is a pattern. Failure is a pattern. I became really good at recognizing these mentors, these influential people's patterns, and I just modeled their behavior, their work ethic, their priorities, their philanthropy. I give when it hurts. I give when I don't have the money to give early on. Because when you give, the universe rewards you in a positive way. I learned that from a mentor, from a role model. So you become a product of your environment. And obviously, when I was struggling, I was a product of my environment. I was doing farming, cold calling, door knocking, prospecting, branding, and that environment kept me here. When I raised my standards and found people that were different, that were getting the results that I wanted, what I learned is they had direct response marketing. I hung around those people. I didn't hang around the people that cold called anymore. I didn't hang around the door knockers. I hung around marketing experts. And that elevated me, and I can attract business like turning on a faucet. You want water? Turn the faucet. You want more water? Open it a little bit more. You're getting too much? Turn it down. That's what you can do with lead generation.
That is brilliant. But at that level of production, you can't simply be a good salesperson anymore. You have to have a business. When did you make that transition mentally? Like, what systems created the greatest leverage for you?
It's a really great question. So direct response marketing is a system. So attraction. I would say there's three big ones that changed my game. Lead generation, becoming a master at lead generation. Quality lead generation, not people, not looky-loos. There's a difference. Highly motivated, qualified prospects. I can attract those like that. Second, you can screw up a perfectly good lead. So lead conversion is important and a skill that I worked on. What do you say when someone calls and demands to see the house today at 3 o'clock? What value proposition do you have to get them to see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock? You know, you call your dentist and you go, hey, I need a cleaning. Or worse, I've got a broken tooth. Can I come right now? You're lucky if you can come in a month. Because they have so much business. And when you have so much business, you don't have to worry about where your next deal is coming from. You also don't have to work with jerks anymore. So lead conversion. And then the third piece is client acquisition. So you go on the appointment. What are the best practices of a presentation? I'll tell you, my listening presentation is not like the majority of the people that are watching this program. It's very different. We closed 90% of our appointments. And these are cold leads. These are not personal referrals. Everybody knows 2 or 3 agents. We were taking business away from people who had relatives in the business, people whose next door neighbor was a realtor, and they listed their home with me. because we had a presentation that was highly skilled, demonstrated expertise, led the prospect to the conclusion that all real estate agents aren't the same, and that the agent that you hire really matters and makes a difference.
Yeah.
That's the outcome of a good presentation. So those are the three answers.
I want to challenge something that I think a lot of our listeners or people who are watching this might be thinking in their mind, because you became incredibly successful using strategies from a different era of real estate. But there are some principles that are timeless. So what are some of those timeless principles, and what advice from the old school real estate playbook should agents throw away today?
Well, when I coach people, I don't tell them to throw anything away right now. You don't want to go cold turkey. If you're driving down the road, you get your hands on the steering wheel, 10 and 2, and a squirrel runs in front of you, you don't go hard right and into a tree. You make small adjustments. So you pick up distinctions. As you start to replace income or add income with direct response marketing, you can cut down on the cold calling. You can cut down on the farming. You can cut down on the begging your family and neighbors and relatives for referrals. So there is a gradual transition. It's add on something better. I was talking with my wife today. She's shopping. Shocker. She's like sends me this picture. She goes, "Do you want me to get you anything?" I go, "I'm really good. I don't wear a lot of clothes." And I go, "If you see something that's outrageous that you think I'd love, get it. And I'll replace it with something that I'm no longer in love with."
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. We're replacing cold calling that you're no longer in love with, big in your sphere that you're no longer in love with because you're viewed as a pest, with direct response marketing.
I love this. So there's this fascinating second chapter, because you sell the real estate business and eventually go to work with Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes. Like, how did that happen? What were you doing? What was your actual role?
The universe works in mysterious ways. Have you ever had a time in your life that something tragic happens, and as you're going through it, you're like, this is the worst?
Yeah, for sure.
But then you get on the other side of it and you go, wow, that was a gift.
That was the best thing that could have ever happened.
I was doing workshops around the country, coaching people. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to make an impact. I was teaching agents my process, all the SOPs, standard operating procedures, systems, processes, scripts, dialogues, presentations. I'd teach this. Lead generation, ads, examples, media to use, free, low cost, inexpensive ways to attract business. And I'm crossing the street and I get hit by a car as a pedestrian.
I was not expecting that. Okay.
Pretty bad day, very severe injury. They crushed all the bones in my foot. My foot got completely crushed. No longer had the ability to do workshops anymore. I had to cancel my schedule for the remainder of the year. While I'm canceling my schedule, I've got a great job, but I've got no income. I've got multiple homes, an RV, oceanfront property, 2 kids, huge overhead. I'm going through savings like it's going crazy. With the inability to work, and I didn't have disability insurance. Tons of life insurance, but no disability insurance.
Yeah.
So while I was recovering for the next 2 years, learning how to walk again and getting the screws put and removed from my foot, there was an opportunity, and I was through all of Tony's programs, and I was a trainer for Tony. He was looking for a high-level executive business consultant at his business mastery courses to help corporations grow their sales revenues and profits. So I applied for the job. I got hired. There's a story within a story for that, but I'll save it for another day.
Yeah.
I got hired, got vetted, got trained, and Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes were my direct boss. So I'd go to Business Mastery. I'd get on Zoom calls with their master performers. I got to meet the most skilled people on planet Earth who can pull all the different levers to optimize and maximize a business. How your phones are answered, what your emails say, how to increase the lifetime value of your customer, how to increase referrals, how to raise your average sales price and revenues per deal. Incredible. How to close at a higher percentage. I got the best training in 3 years in my entire adult life. And life was going good and I was getting paid well. And I'm like, this is great. And then Chet Holmes got leukemia and passed away. So I got back into coaching. And here I am today with the skills that I learned from the best in the world, arguably the best in the world. So that accident, as catastrophic as it was, when I was going through it with no income, huge expenses, turned out to be a really great gift because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with those guys if that didn't happen.
And you had already achieved extraordinary financial success. Like, you had hit some pretty high marks. What did working inside of that environment teach you that selling thousands of homes hadn't taught you?
There's always another level. I went through that when I was selling 40 houses a year. To go from 40 to 100, you have to think differently. To go from 100 to 200, you have to think differently. To go from 200 to 400, you have to think differently. So there's stages of your business, a life cycle of your business. Are you in teenage stage, toddler, adolescence? Are you in young adult stage? Because the problems that you'll experience in the different stages of the business require a different level of thinking and a different solution. What kills me and drives me crazy about coaches today, because everybody's a coach, you get on a call with a coach and they tell you do more of this, more engagement, more prospects. They don't know if you're doing 20 deals a year or 100 deals a year. And the advice I would give somebody is dependent on where they are currently in their business. So one would be the stage of your business. Where are you now? What's normal? What's not normal? What catastrophic problems are right around the corner that you don't know exist? And I'll turn your head so that we don't get run over by a tractor trailer in business, because people are making a lot of mistakes. They're spending money. Everybody's got their hand in your pocket. Buy this, do that. AI is the great thing today, and it's incredible. But is it the next move if you're doing 10 deals a year? Probably not.
Probably not. Tony talks so much about state, beliefs, identity, which is what you're kind of speaking to, and human behavior. And after studying human performance for decades, what do you believe actually prevents most people from reaching the goals that they claim that they want? Is it strategy? Is it skill? Or is it identity?
It's a really great question. I paused for a second because I want to give you the right answer. There's a lot to it. There's no one thing. How many different components are in an automobile? And you remove the components, you could drive a car without a door, but you couldn't drive a car with 3 wheels unless the wheel was centered, right? In the front.
Yeah.
So the first thing is belief. I don't think that people really believe that they're capable of manifesting the life that they want. But I know with absolute certainty, there's an order and sequence to manifesting whatever life you want to have. You want to have a better relationship? There's a secret and a formula to it. You want to have better finances? There's a formula for that. You want to have business growth? There's formulas and strategies for it. So first of all, believing that you can do, have, experience, or accomplish anything. Tony gave me that belief that night I was sitting in my kitchen table. But through the television, listening to him, he changed my belief. Because what you believe you can and can't do is true. I believed naively that in Nashua, New Hampshire, I could be the #1 agent in the world for Coldwell Banker. I believed it. Now, I failed, but twice I was #2 in the world out of 135,000 agents in a franchise.
Amazing.
Without that belief, I would have never taken the action to pursue that belief. If you believe you can't, why would you do it? And this is applicable when you learn these skills, Mike. you can share them with your family, with your clients, with your loved ones, with people you care about. My children have accomplished amazing things, 24 and 19 years old, and they've done more in their short lives than most adults have done in a year, in a lifetime. My oldest, 5'8" quarterback, played in the SEC Division I college football. 5'8". That's a death sentence for a quarterback. How'd that happen? Every day from the day he was born, I told him he could do it. And he believed he could. Now, I'm not going to tell you he didn't have a fair share of setbacks and adversities, but belief is the number one thing. And I can help you uncover your limiting beliefs. We all have them. I have them. I'm having breakthroughs every year. Life is growing, not dying. I'm not dying. I just got back from 8 days on the road, filling up my mind with new distinctions, looking at the world differently at age 60 than I did when I was at age 30. So I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it absolutely does. And this is something I've been wrestling with in my own business. More than 90% of my business now comes through relationships and agent referrals. And I've started calling my philosophy relational prospecting. The idea is that I don't want to treat people like opportunities. I want to build genuine relationships, serve people well, stay connected, and allow business to emerge from that. But where do you see the intersection between relationships and the philosophy of attraction?
Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with what you're doing. And the people watching, don't misinterpret me that you're doing it wrong. Life is happening for you.
Amen.
So, not to you. Nobody on this watching this is a victim.
That's right.
But there's different levels. There's easier ways to get there. So, what you're doing, not that there's anything wrong with it, is tomorrow you can't generate a sale from that.
This is true.
You can't pull a lever tomorrow and get a listing tomorrow.
I can't even project what sales are going to look like from year to year because of the way that I'm doing it.
And that's going to be frustrating. But the longer you're in it, you know that you do 30 deals a year, 40 deals a year, whatever the number is, and you do that every year. So you've been in the business a long time, and that's good, but you can't pull a lever and go to 50. You can't raise your average sales price because when a relationship calls you and they go, hey, I heard you're great, you're a friend of a friend, I'm looking at a $100,000
Condo, whatever, yeah.
You're like, thanks for the referral. You're not intentional and purposeful. And it's like, I don't have anyone else to work with, so yeah, I'll work with you. And while you're working with that lower level lead, well, I'll tell you a story about this. We're talking about your ideal client profile.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's step one in building a business. Who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with buyers? Do you want to work with sellers? Do you want to work by price point or geography? See, people that are doing it the traditional way get whatever lands in their lap. My way, I get to raise my average sales price. I go, I want to work oceanfront, waterfront. Why? Bigger price points. Better quality buyers. Would we all agree that a $3 million buyer has a better job than a $100,000 buyer? Better credit score, better savings, better referrals down the road. So by strategically targeting my ICP, my ideal client profile, I'm also compounding the referrals in the future for my business. Because $3 million people hang around with what kind of people?
$3 million people or not.
$300,000 people hang out with what kind of people?
$100,000 to $300,000 people.
Right. So are we making some connections, some distinctions here? Marketing is like fishing, Michael. If we were going to go fishing, would we decide what we're fishing for before we get in the boat?
Yes. Because it takes a different type of bait in order to get that type of fish.
Exactly. It's no different. So before we get in the boat, we're going to identify, we're going fishing for marlin, tuna, trophy fish. I don't want to catch a mackerel, but a realtor, I'll take a mackerel. Oh my God, I got a flounder. I got a flounder today.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got a crab. Screw that. I get passionate.
I love it. I love it. Bring it.
Let's go marlin fishing. Let's go trophy fishing. And if you go, whoa, I don't know if I'm polished enough for that. That's a limiting belief. Because once you know who you want to target, you create a message that speaks directly to that person that's so compelling and so irresistible and so different. And let me tell you what that message isn't. It's not all the crap that we post on social media. I'd like to congratulate the Johnsons for putting their faith and trust in me. That's not a compelling message.
Yeah.
That's egocentric, and I've got news for everybody. No one gives a shit that you just sold. Imagine being a doctor and we used the principles of traditional real estate method.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Hayden Moses for trusting me to do his knee surgery. What?
Yeah.
Crazy. We need to think differently.
So what does direct marketing look like? You've talked a little bit about it. I think we kind of danced around it. What are we doing? What should be happening?
Okay, you identify who you want to sell real estate to. Not everybody. Everybody should write this down. When you try to be all things to all people, you are nothing to nobody.
Yeah.
So do you want buyers? Do you want sellers? Now you can have buyers and sellers. What geography, what price point, what niche of the market do you want to go after? The more specific you are, the easier it is to solve a problem that they're going through. That's step one. Step two, you need compelling messages. If you went to a restaurant, can you imagine you sit down with your significant other at the restaurant, the waiter comes over and says, "Hi, my name's Joe, I'll be taking care of you tonight." And you go, "Joe, do you have a menu?" And Joe says, "I don't have menus." You'd be like, "What? We don't have menus here. What do you have for food?" "We have a cheeseburger. We have one item on the menu. It's a cheeseburger. Would you like a cheeseburger?" "We're not in the mood for cheeseburgers, Joe. We're going to leave. Thank you. Have a nice day." That's a real estate agent's business today. They have zero menu items. Zero. If I were to interview some of the really top agents doing 50 deals a year, I'm astonished that I go, "What's your menu item? What problems do you solve? Show me a menu with all the different offers for buyers, all the different offers for sellers." And they go, "I'll work really hard for you."
Yeah.
That's the price of admission today. So it's number two, you need good, compelling, irresistible messaging. Bait. Number three, you need a sales process to convert those leads to appointments so that they want to meet with you, so that they see value in getting together. The fourth is you need a presentation. I am not a salesperson. Eliminate that from your identity. I'm an order taker. I generate a lead. I go on the appointment. I do a presentation. I differentiate myself from the masses. I explain how I'm going to monetize their transaction. If I'm talking to a buyer, let me show you 5 ways I'm going to minimize your expenses. Do you know when you buy a $1 million home, you pay more than $1 million? Did you know that, Mr. Buyer? You have mortgages, you have home inspections, you have title, you have legal.
Closing costs.
By
Yeah.
working with me, I'm going to help you minimize those expenses. Is that important to you? Yeah, that's really important to me. Hey, did your next door neighbor who I know you were talking to talk about how much savings they can save with you? With them? No, they didn't mention that. Huh, interesting. This is like shooting fish in a barrel. So generate the lead, go on the appointment, have a good, compelling presentation that differentiates you, and then go, "Do you have any questions?" And they go, here's what happens. They go, "What is Joe going to think? We've known him for 20 years. I know. You're in a tough position. Would you like me to call him? I'll just tell him I bent your arm, I twisted your arm."
Yeah. I'll call Joe the agent for you and make it easy for you.
But that's really what happened every day of my life. And then the best part is when you have a process, you can give it to someone else who doesn't have the process and be a team. And we had a team of 8 at the height, 8 licensed agents. I was out of production, so I was running ads, managing the team, being a business operator, a business owner, and 8 agents did 427 deals. That's 50 deals plus per agent. I took brand new agents, Michael. I'm most proud of this. No experience. Like everybody watching this has more experience than all the new hires I've hired. In their first month, I generate the leads. They follow my process. They do and say what I said. Skills can be learned. They do the presentation that Brian would do. They demonstrate value, how they're going to save the client money, how they're going to optimize their transaction, and they get the same results. 4, 5 deals their first month in the business. Boom, like popcorn.
Amazing.
So it's not hard, but it's not easy either. You have to be disciplined. You have to raise your standards. You have to believe that you can do it. And you have
It's
to
simple, but it's not easy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You nailed it.
Yeah. You just came back from Tony Robbins' Business Mastery too. Not speaking on stage as Tony's guest, am I right?
Yeah, so I'm a trainer and I love to give back. And, you know, he had 5,000 participants and I got invited to go down and support the participants because I'm grateful that I can finish Tony's sentences. I've been trained at the highest level.
Yeah.
I know the principles he's teaching. So I get down there and they go, we're actually good. We've got tons of support. Would you like to attend as a participant? I'm like, that'd be amazing. $15,000 ticket.
Yeah.
I get to go through it as a participant. Unbelievable.
And after decades of knowing him, after building companies, after coaching some of the best agents in America, what are you still going there to learn?
The one thing that I don't know. You're drinking from a fire hose if you've ever been to a Tony event.
Yeah, I've been.
Oh, you're going to love it, brother. And it's going to be overload with information and value. And you'll prioritize the 100 distinctions that you got. You'll leave with thousands. But after doing this for years and implementing so many of it, it was really a gift to just take it in and come away with 50 things that I want to do to grow my business. 50. I've got a checklist and priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3, based on where I am in my stage of life right now.
Yeah. Like you said, there's levels to this. Was there ever a moment where in Business Mastery this time, you thought like, man, I needed to hear that again? Like, what was that?
Always, 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 always. Let me pull up my notes. I can share a couple of takeaways.
Yeah, share some stuff, man. We had some people that went through it as well. Gil out of our office went ahead and purchased the license and then gave it to agents at a very steep discount for them to be able to experience it. And we all went to his house and experienced it. And then when we go to UPW and walk the fiery coals in November, we're bringing about 100 agents with us. And we're still inviting agents to come. So if you're listening to this, you're watching this, and you're like, man, I want to be a part of something like that, let me know. Reach out to me.
So one of the first things I wrote down in my notes, people are not buying products and services. They're buying emotions. They're buying states. They're buying physiology. So what I do at a listing presentation is I change the seller's state by benefits, by what do buyers and sellers want. And when they get what they want, they get happy, they get excited, they get confident in you. So that was a good takeaway. There's depth to that, but just tons of stuff. 5 ways to strategic innovation. The best way to innovate your business is always find a better way to meet your client's needs. When you meet your client's needs at a higher level, your business will grow up. There's 5 ways to do it. New voices, new questions, new perspectives, new passions. I have a new passion right now. My kids are in college. My oldest is graduated. I never missed a football game. Forget that. I never missed a practice. See, I don't have to give up the things that matter most to me to sell hundreds of homes.
Because of the way you built your business.
But now my kids are gone, so I have a new passion. that passion is a fire inside me to impact the lives of this real estate industry. A lot of people don't even know who I am. That ends this week. I'm going after it, like in a big way.
Let's go,
I'm
baby.
so
Let's go.
I'm serious. I can change your life, and it's not make more calls. It's not do more of the shit that gives you incremental gains. It's totally rechanging the way you think. And I'm going to go big because
Listen, we talked about some of the stuff that you're doing and some of the AI stuff you're working on. I'm really excited to see what you're working on. I know you're in the lab for the next 6-7 days, locking it in. But let's take everything away. Tomorrow you wake up, nobody knows Brian Moses. No reputation, no database, no organization, no speaking platform, no Tony Robbins relationship, no 3,500 home sales track record. You have a real estate license, you got your phone, and everything you know today. Let's say your goal is 24 transactions in the next 12 months. What do you do first?
okay, this may sting and you may not like the answer, but I'm going to tell you straight. How many hours of training have you had at this point in that description, right? So I'm brand new. I've had 40, 50, 60 hours to get my real estate license. How much training have I had in marketing, lead generation, lead conversion, sales training, handling objections?
Probably zero.
None. Now, let's look at a hairdresser. I got my hair cut today. Do I look handsome?
You look
I don't know.
fantastic.
I got my hair cut this morning. I was talking to her about this because I'm sitting in the salon going, let me show you 4 ways to increase your revenues because I want to make a difference in her life. And she's blown away. She's like, this is unbelievable. Nobody's ever taught me this. I go, how many hours does it take you to get licensed to cut my hair? And ladies watching, would you let Brian Moses cut your hair with 0 hours of training?
Let me answer that for them. No.
How about a pet groomer? In the state of New Hampshire, 900 hours of training to cut a dog's nails, to groom a dog, to bathe a dog or a cat. Not a veterinarian, 900 hours. My father was a master plumber. I went through his apprenticeship program. I earned my master plumber's license. 4 years, 8,000 hours of training. And when I was done, I still wasn't as skilled as my father in installing a water heater. So the answer to the question is schedule 200, 500 hours of training the right content of how to generate leads, how to convert those leads, how to close those appointments, how to demonstrate value, and you don't even need 200 hours. You only need to be a little bit better than the next real estate agent. See, my dad had to be a lot better than the next plumber to get business because plumbers are skilled. Anesthesiologists are skilled. Hairdressers are skilled. Pilots are skilled. Real estate agents, no offense, we're not skilled.
Most of us just have a
developed those
license.
skills. If you sharpen the saw first, Abraham Lincoln, if I had 16 hours to cut down a tree, I'd spend 15 sharpening the axe. So my answer to the brand new agent, immerse yourself in training for a month. Spend 40 hours a week training, rehearsing, practicing, role playing, and then go sell. And you won't sell 24 homes your first year. You'll sell 70.
There's some of us still trying to sell 70. So I hear you on that. All right, Brian, man, this is such good stuff. I want to take you into our lightning round. Okay? Quick answers. You gave me some good stuff, but I want to go quick. Here we go. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tony Robbins or Bob Proctor? Which one are you calling for mindset?
I can't. I never say can't, but I can't pick. They're both incredible.
They are, I know. All right. Cold call or handwritten note?
Neither.
All right. If there was a third option, what is it?
Direct response marketing.
I knew you were saying that. All right. Okay. Listing presentation or recruiting presentation? Which one you going on?
Depends on the stage of the business. So where you are in your business. But for me, it would be recruiting presentation.
Okay. Phone call or text?
Phone call, 100%.
Systems or talent?
Systems.
Yeah, man. Skill or mindset?
Skill.
Which one are we working on? Money or freedom?
Freedom.
Best
I
book
love
you've
it.
ever read?
That's a boy. I got to think. So many.
Give me one of the best recent books you've read.
I've read it multiple times. It's just a great reminder to get grounded. Probably won't serve people in the capacity that they're looking for, but it will serve them in a different way. A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Most overrated real estate activity.
Cold calling.
Okay. Most underrated business skill.
Discipline. Working on your business.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a working on you before you work on your business type of thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. One person you still want to learn from.
Tons. Leo Pereira.
I love Leo. Last one. One word your wife would use to describe you.
Loving.
Ah, that's good. Now we have to get her on the show and see if she would agree with it. All right, Brian, you spent your career helping people do more without simply working more. So I'm especially interested in your answer to this one. What does leverage mean to you? And what are you personally trying to create more leverage in right now?
Yeah, freedom is what I'm thinking about. So I do things that buy my time back. You can't get your time back. It's infinite. I actually have this. A client gave me this. And I had to fill in every single week of my life. And this is what I've got left if I live to 85 years old. So that kind of puts things in perspective. And I can't.
Now, for
go
those
back
who
and
aren't
do it.
watching, give a little bit of a description of what this is, because some people are listening to this. They're not watching the YouTube.
Okay, so this is a visual representation of your lifetime. Each square is representative of 1 week of your life. So if you live to 85, do the math, 85 times 52 weeks is thousands of squares that we take for granted. But if you look at this visually and you fill out where you are today, how many weeks you've already lived, that's what you got left. And I want to make this count. I want to make the white boxes count. So for me, leverage means freedom. What I'm working on right now, 3 hours a day, every night from 7 to 10 on mastering AI, using all the applications. It's not comfortable for me. I'm not great with technology, but what it will do, in 3 hours last night, I built a funnel, the schematic. I just I used Whisper to read into my computer and said, this is what I want you to do, Claude Cowork. Go do it. From lead inception, and in 3 hours, it gave me a map with text messages, ad copy, email copy. It was unbelievable, incredible. So I'm leveraging myself with AI.
Yeah, I think that's so powerful. I mean, you even recently went to an AI event, got the information, but you didn't just take notes. You started taking action. I love that. We finish every episode with something actionable. And there's an agent that's listening or watching right now who feels like the version of Brian who was working constantly, but not getting ahead. Like they're tired, they're frustrated, and they know something has to change. What is the one thing you want them to do in the next 24 hours?
Pause. I want them to pause. I want them to take a deep breath, schedule a day to go to the beach, go to the mountains, go somewhere where it's their happy place, and really dream big. Just dream. If money, circumstances, conditions didn't matter, what are all the things you want to do, have, experience, and accomplish in your life? And just go on a rant in a book. Don't worry about how you're going to get there. You'll get there. You're planting the seeds in your mind, and most people don't do that. They wait till the end of the year to start thinking about their goals, and I'm not thinking about goals for next year. I'm thinking about lifetime goals.
Yeah, I love that answer. I was actually just talking to one of my colleagues yesterday. We were talking about the world of AI and what AI has done. And so many people are worried about automation of everything and losing the human touch. And I said, the way that I see AI right now is that AI has given people the capacity to dream again. permission to dream again and dream big. AI is now allowing you to see how time can be bent. It doesn't have to take 5 years. I mean, there's people building companies in 15 minutes, right? Or I should say viable products that they can sell or services that they
Yes.
can offer in minutes as opposed to years and months. And so it allows you to dream, man, once I start understanding some of the possibilities that are out there, what can't I do? And I love that. I love that answer because it ties right into what I was already
Well,
talking
and
about.
your
And
shirt, so for the people that are listening, your shirt says it all. No
no
limits.
limits.
There are no limits. The
That's it.
sky's the limit. How high into the galaxy do you want to go? How big can you dream?
Brian, there are hundreds of directions I could have taken this conversation because you've lived several careers inside of one career. But the thing that I'm taking away is that the breakthrough wasn't simply learning how to work harder. You were already working hard. The breakthrough was learning how to think differently, position differently, build systems differently, and ultimately become someone opportunity became attracted to.
That's the edge. So well said, Michael. That's the edge. AI can't do that.
No.
It can clone you. The first 3 hours of diving into this project was to get Claude Cowork to ask me all the questions about my mindset, my psychology, my belief systems, and then ask me more and more and go deep and wide so that it can write emails for me.
Yeah.
I'll never write another email ever again. And it'll write it on my behalf better than I could write it using my intellectual property. So leverage, that's the ultimate leverage. That's where this world is going. It's awesome.
So exciting, man. It's so exciting. Thank you for sharing these lessons, and especially the parts about everything that happened before everybody knew your name. Where can people connect with you to learn more about what you're building today?
I'm on all the socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I respond to all the messages personally. It's not AI yet, but we'll get there. But you'll be communicating with my brain and be able to reach more people. But my website, if somebody really wants to get a hold of me, send me an email, coaching@brianmoses.com, or visit our website. We just had it refreshed. It's loaded with free tools and tips and strategies, brianmoses.com.
Perfect. Well, and we'll put all of that in the show notes as well. And if
I
this
appreciate it.
conversation made you rethink the way that you've been building your business, send this to another agent who needs to hear this. Make sure you subscribe to the Leverage Lounge, and we'll see you on the next episode.